Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Let's take a look at the headlines. Government selects first 500 applicants for Landless program in random public draw. The President of the People's Republic of China to visit Trinidad and Tobago. And the Ministry of Food Production partnering with Rotary Club to meet its goals. Thank you for joining us. Prime Minister the Honourable Kamla Persad-Bissassa believes the Land for the Landless program will greatly assist in solving some of this country's social and economic problems.
Addressing some applicants of the Land for the Landless program, Mrs. Persad-Bissassa says the program can bring joy and happiness to hundreds of families. The Prime Minister says she looks forward to seeing the proud faces of the new land and homeowners.
I look forward, I think in about 2 months' time, when the successful beneficiaries will begin construction of their homes with the assistance of the LSA's Housing Support Center, another innovation of this program. We look forward to seeing homes on their lands and seeing them with their families, their children, and in some instances, I'm sure, other relatives, and of course, maybe even some grandparents, finally having realized that very elusive dream of owning a home. All of these families would be families who have been without land, without shelter, living in extreme and difficult circumstances for most of their lives. And so the day is coming when they will be able to proudly say, this is my home, this is my castle, I am housed comfortably under my own roof.
Prime Minister Persad-Bissassa says the Land for the Landless program can make a serious dent in lowering the incidences of squatting plaguing some parts of the country.
One of the most exciting features of this program, Land for Landless, is that it recognizes a fundamental resource we have in solving the problem. The drive, the energy, the creativity of the landless themselves. And just look at some of the structures and communities that have emerged out of the squatting areas. It is this manifest energy we seek to mobilize in an effective partnership which helps people to emerge with some help, some guidance to create sustaining and sustainable communities, not only to help themselves, but also to help build our nation.
Mrs. Persad-Bissassa explains the economic benefits of the program will also be immense.
It will involve hundreds of millions of dollars, which will be converted to billions of dollars given the multiplier effect. We will generate thousands of jobs in the construction sector, both for infrastructure development and for home construction. We will place special focus to assist the most economically challenged persons by providing a concrete foundation to start your home.
The Prime Minister says persons with disabilities and persons who dedicate their lives to the service of the nation will also receive special attention in the Land for the Landless program.
Policies governing the Land for the Landless program seek to embrace all. We are catering for the special cases, such as persons who are impaired, fire victims, and squatters who must be relocated and who cannot be regularized at the current location. It also places special attention to public officers, members of protective services, police, army, coast guard, and so on, fire, prison officers, teachers, other employees of the state. This is in a bid to ensure that balanced communities are fostered from a diverse cross-section of our population where families will build neighborhoods and communities.
Persons interested in applying to the Land for the Landless program can do so at www.mphe.gov.tt. Gregory McBurney, News 4.
Meanwhile, 500 families are now one step closer to owning their own home. This after the first draw of the Land for the Landless program, which aims to provide town and country-approved lands for poor families to build their house upon.
Minister of Housing, Land and Marine Affairs, Dr. the Honourable Rudal Munilal, was on hand to address the families at the ceremony. Persons who applied for lands were assigned a number, with random numbers being chosen at a draw. Minister Munilal says the program will see thousands of people benefiting over the next few years.
Essentially, we will make service lots available to families to construct houses. Further, we will provide meaningful assistance and guidance to facilitate speedy construction of sustainable housing. In the first phase, as many as 10,000 applicants are expected to benefit over the course of the next 3 years.
The housing minister says the poor and needy will not be neglected in this program. He explains that persons who qualify will also receive extra assistance to get started building their own home.
We intend to assist the poorest of the poor, which means families who qualify under the program and whose total household incomes are less than $3,000 per month. We will provide such low-income families with a concrete foundation for their homes. This program will be referred to as a foundation for life.
Dr. Munilal vows to ensure full transparency in the Land for the Landless program. He assures that even after the draw, persons whose numbers were selected will still be screened to ensure all information is accurate and the recipients qualify for the land. The housing minister adds that the land will not be free, but emphasizes that the recipients will pay a highly subsidized price below market price. He explains that the land, though, will have town and country approval and will be serviced with electricity and water. Minister Monilal says the government's assistance does not simply stop there.
We will then encourage you to seek guidance and assistance from a dedicated and staffed housing support center of the LSA. You will have access to housing plans with drawings at negotiated prices. Beneficiaries will be fully guided through the process of consultations with architects and builders. The size of the homes, the use of materials, the employ of green technology, the placement of the homes on the lots to permit future expansion, all of these will be considered. A special area of counseling will be established for financing, and successful applicants with total income of $8,000 or less will qualify for a 2% mortgage financing. Our goal is to create sustainable, harmonious communities, not shacks or ghettos or inappropriate buildings.
Gregory McBurney, News 4.
When we come back, the President of the People's Republic of China to visit Trinidad and Tobago. Stay with us. Welcome back. As this country prepares to welcome the President of the People's Republic of China, Xi Jinping, next week, newly appointed Chinese ambassador to Trinidad and Tobago, Wang Qingyuan, is describing the visit as history in the making in bilateral ties for the two nations.
Ahead of Chinese Premier Xi Jinping's state visit to Trinidad and Tobago next week, the Chinese community is looking to the reinforcement of diplomatic ties between both nations. Just 1 month after his arrival to these shores, as China's newly appointed ambassador to Trinidad and Tobago, Wang Qingyuan says it's the first time such a visit will take place in the English-speaking Caribbean. Speaking through his interpreter, the Chinese ambassador expressed the significance of bilateral ties between both states.
So this is the first time the Chinese president Chinese president to visit Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean region since the diplomatic relations were established between our two countries 39 years ago, almost 40 years. And I was also very proud to say Trinidad and Tobago is the first destination during the three countries around Caribbean regions. This visit will be a milestone in our bilateral ties and a kind of major diplomatic event signifying China's commitment to developing the cooperative relations with the Caribbean countries.
Relations between this country and China stems from over 200 years ago, when its people arrived here as indentured laborers, but later took up the role as shopkeepers, carpenters, and market gardeners. Today, while this community continues to grow and thrive within this Caribbean state, the ambassador says the visit by the Chinese president can expect the signing of agreements for trade and culture.
I believe maybe the earliest time the Chinese people arrived in Trinidad and Tobago is 207 years ago. I think from that time our friendship started. We are trying to sign more agreements, but there is a kind of there's a kind of thing called procedure. We need to do things step by step. So during this visit, I think we'll mainly sign the agreement in economy and trade and the culture part. But we're doing the other work at the same time.
The ambassador hinted that persons from Trinidad and Tobago doing trade with China might benefit from a possible duty-free exemption agreement.
At this time, we might provide a kind of, maybe not a big amount in number, but I think it means a lot, a kind of duty-free loan to Trinidad and Tobago. The bilateral trade reached about 627 million US dollars in 2011, but I think sometimes people say it's just 600. Sometimes people say it's only 400 million US dollars. But what I want to say is it's still far behind enough. So during my stay in Trinidad and Tobago, I really hope this number could be changed into some 1,000 million US dollars, not only some 100 million US dollars.
Earlier this week, discussions were held between the Ministry of Energy and Energy Affairs and the new Chinese ambassador on the potential for development of LNG export projects to Asia. Energy Minister Kevin Ramnarine noted that in terms of LNG trade, 5 cargoes were sold to China in 2011 and 4 cargoes were sold in 2012. He added that currently there was a significant presence of major companies from China operating in the energy sector in Trinidad and Tobago. She and his wife Peng Li Yuan are expected to visit this country from May 31st to June 2nd. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
In other news, there is word that the Ministry of the People and Social Development plans to roll out a campaign soon against elderly abuse. The revelation was made by the Minister of the People and Social Development, Dr. The Honorable Glenn Ramadasing. He made the disclosure during a walkabout in Calcutta No. 3, Freeport.
Minister Glenn Ramadasing says the ministry intends to assist single parents.
So the Mum D project, mentoring our mothers and dads, is a program where we will roll out, where people who cannot leave the home because of the amount of children that they have and because of the burdens on them, because of the responsibilities, they will be trained at home with an instructional DVD program in the URP Social.
The minister says his ministry will find the elderly citizens throughout Trinidad and Tobago in their places of worship and proposes to partner with the interreligious organizations and faith-based organizations to equip them with gym and computer equipments to keep them active.
So while we have an aging population, where 12% of our population is aging, we are catering for that. And in 20 years, that figure will double because people are living longer and longer. And we need to care for them, and there are special needs. There are special situations that develop with aging that we now have to treat with as a society. And how one treats with the elderly in society is a mark of this level of civilization of that society.
He also disclosed that there will soon be a new program on the way for the elderly that they can look forward to. The minister also took the opportunity to launch his series of mid-year walkabouts.
Walkabout informs the needs of the Ministry of the People. Ministry of the People is about what the people want, the issues that affect people on a day-to-day. Walking in the communities give you a first-hand view as to what is needed in the society, what is the relevance of the programs that we are pursuing, how we can tweak, how we can retool and retrain and refocus our skills and energies.
Joseph Lopez, News 4.
The Ministry of Food Production is partnering with the Rotary Club of St. Augustine as it seeks to meet its mandate of increasing food production, lower the country's import bill, and address food inflation.
The Ministry of Food Production has handed over 10 aquaponics systems to the St. Augustine Rotary Club. Aquaponics is the cultivation of fish and plants together using the same water for both to create an artificial ecosystem which utilizes natural bacteria to convert fish waste to plant nutrients. Speaking at the handover ceremony, Food Production Minister Senator the Honorable Devon Maharaj says the aquaponics program is aimed at empowering women and youth in particular. He explains the reach of the program will widen as it is rolled out throughout the country.
The immediate mission of the program is to empower youth and women in at-risk communities through agricultural education, training, as well as creating new income earning opportunities. The program as a whole has three objectives: economic stimulation in at-risk communities, increased contribution of at-risk communities to the national food production drive, and of course reduction of crime in those communities. The subspecialty program called aquaponic has been targeted as one of the innovative production systems. The Agriculture Now Training Unit in the Ministry of Food Production sourced the expertise in the area of aquaponics and facilitated an intense 6-week training program. 18 persons in the Ministry of Food Production. We hope within a very short space of time we have more of these trained persons in the Ministry of Food Production as we roll out the program on a national basis.
Minister Maharaj explains there are many environmental and economic benefits to be gained through the use of aquaponics in Trinidad and Tobago.
Saving of water, ease of manufacture and putting it together, and the significant growth, a faster growth of a variety of plants and as well as the fishes. There's a real possibility of generating a range of agri-entrepreneurs from this venture and downstream business if it's done collectively within a community. It is our hope that this program, if done properly, will be able to jumpstart the process of urban empowerment, which will result in the achievement of the objectives of the Sustainable Food Production Program.
Gregory McBurney, News 4.
Sport is up next, right after the break. Stay with us. An unfortunate chapter in Trinidad and Tobago's sport history came to an end recently when the Trinidad and Tobago Football Federation agreed to terms which will settle the outstanding obligation to 13 members of the 2006 FIFA World Cup squad. Wayne Cunningham was at the Hazley Crawford Stadium as the details of the settlement were revealed.
The financial dispute between the 2006 World Cup heroes and the Trinidad and Tobago Football Federation has been seen as a catalyst for the stagnation of the nation's football because of the initial alienation of the Soca Warriors. As the fortunes of our game look to improve on the field, an agreement has been reached to settle the dispute and remove a cloud over the sport. TTFF President Raymond Timkey extended a hand of reconciliation to the 13 Soca Warriors.
I wish to extend an invitation to all our footballers to come back home. With open arms, the association which I head is willing to welcome you, all of you. You have a contribution still to make, because if we are to go forward, we can only do so as you permit us to stand on the foundation of your strength, which has brought us success thus far. I want to sincerely apologize, most sincerely apologize, for the pain you have had to endure over those years. I want to ask you to come and join the pleasure which together we can bring as we take Trinidad football once again into the glorious days and into that new global era.
Brent Sancho immediately accepted the apology on behalf of the Warriors as the mending began.
I'd like to say publicly, on behalf of the 13 players, we do accept the apology from Mr. Timkey for what we experienced, and we look forward to working hand in hand to rebuild this new football in Trinidad and Tobago.
Former defender Sid Gray also expressed his desire to move forward.
This means a lot to me, really this settlement here means, is a vindication of from the past, to now, but most of all, for me, I just wanted to let's try to move on and mend the bridges and think about the future of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm always willing and open to help the youngsters right now, because for me now I'm retired and that is my main focus right now, to help Trinidad to move forward.
David Atiba Charles was a bit more philosophical.
It started off as a matter of principle, where we wanted to make a statement, and we did. And for me, it's about helping the youth now to get forward and to understand that, you know, in times like this, you have to stand up, you have to unite. And we haven't been united as a country, as players, and I hope this kind of start that initiative.
The former W Connection defender gave his thoughts on the way forward.
The thing is, TTFF couldn't really move forward because of the court case. In terms of the players and how football should be moving forward, it will take a while for the guys to actually be able to unite, get the team going and stuff like that, because there's a new bunch of players. They're not very experienced, so it takes a while in terms of the football aspect of things. But we hope that we can play an integral part in helping the young guys who are actually present now on the national team to get that experience, be that mentor for them, and hopefully they can later on rise to the occasion.
Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
News 4 continues after the break. The Couva Home for the Aged has reached a milestone year in its existence, which was recently celebrated by its residents and management.
The Couva Home for the Aged recently celebrated its 50th anniversary after being established in 1963. The home is the brainchild of the late Dr. Oswald Seong, while he was the district medical officer for Couva, having been moved by the plight of the poor and often neglected senior citizens. Dr. Seong approached the then sugar company, Tate & Lyle, which was subsequently known as Caroni 1975 Limited, for a parcel of land to construct a home which was then referred to as a poorhouse. The company responded and donated a 3-acre parcel of land in 1962 to the project that was then formally approved to the state in March 1963. The home has undergone many developments and today boasts of 6 recently renovated buildings that were originally donated by various groups and individuals. The home accepts applicants for residency of persons who are 60 years and over, in receipt of a pension, and can treat with the physical chores that they are assigned. The home has won the award for the best kept senior citizen home for 3 consecutive years, following which the competition was discontinued.
50 years of existence is indeed a clear-cut indication that there has been a sense of vision, a sense of planning, a sense of commitment and dedication to duty in ensuring that this particular home has survived the test of time and the passage of time.
The Honourable Member for Couva South noted that Trinidad and Tobago has an increasingly aging population.
We have to understand, as a society, we have a moral responsibility to continue to educate and sensitize key stakeholders, and more importantly, all of our citizens on aging issues and what must be our collective focus in terms of improving the quality of life and standard of living of all our senior citizens in this country.
Minister Indar Singh called on the wider community to take up various roles in providing the necessary customer service that is needed for ensuring the comfort of senior citizens. The anniversary function, which took place on the compound of the Couva Home for the Aged, was well attended by residents, their families and stakeholders. There was live entertainment and even the distribution of tokens of appreciation to persons who have served the home and its residents for lengthy periods of time. Due to the level of efficiency and professionalism, as well as the high standard of care exhibited at the home, the Couva Home for the Aged is expected to last at least another 50 years. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barreto. Thank you for joining us.